University of Utah and how they have built their offensive and defensive lines, which consistently kick the Pac-12's ass. Let's get down to the bottom line, though. It's Thanksgiving week. Here I am recording early. I'll be headed up north to Guyman, Oklahoma, but of course I'll be enjoying food, family, and as most of us, some football. So the best side dish for your turkey is a little bit of action on the game. BetOnline has you covered all this holiday season. It's the number one spot for sports action. You can head to this new updated desktop or mobile website they've put together. Sign up today for BetOnline. You get a 50% welcome bonus. You just have to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get your bonus. That's BetOnline and BLEAV on the promo code. All right, let's get back to this breakdown with Boise State and San Diego State. I'll get to the ramifications of the game. Of course, we all know there's a lot on the line, but we know what isn't here. And there's no more Rocky Long leading San Diego State or leading this defense. It's the second year away. They just finished with Rocky and the New Mexico defense, which I think should concern everybody as much as anything. Boise State's offense struggled mightily against New Mexico's defense. There wasn't much comment about that post-game. I don't know. I'm sure they ultimately got to it with coordinator talk with the Monday conversations, but it wasn't happening post-game. And so everybody had a little different idea, I think, that sat in front of a TV set and had 24 to 48 hours to think it through, as coaches do, and look at film, but they just didn't get it done. And, you know, one of the biggest challenges I find with the Boise State offense is it's great when Helani's in there. It's even better when Helani and Shakir are on the field at the same time. But they lack weapons after that, really. The complementary wide receivers, the complementary tight end pass game, the consistent identity with what the offense can do to somebody beyond just those two guys or with those two guys. And really some of the keys to all of this are the total effort of the group with the offensive line mixed in, and Hank Bachmeier. You know, Hank Bachmeier is a serviceable quarterback. He's a way above average quarterback. He is not an elite quarterback. He is not one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of Boise State football. He may become that next year, but he is not that difference maker now. And I think that's one of the things that lacks, because he's not a weapon you come up with. He's a complimentary guy who can distribute. He knows the offense. The kids trust him. The coaches trust him. He's got that down, but he doesn't have the kind of moxie or make the kind of throws or really have the kind of mobility when you need it the most to be the difference maker in himself. He's no Shakir to the team in some respects. He's no Helani in some respects, because he's been the constant there the whole time, and he struggles at times to be that difference and make everybody else great. How about making the tight ends great or those other wide receivers great? It may not just be his ability to be that person, to be the next Ryan Dinwiddie, in some respects Bart Hendricks, or even a Grant Hendricks. I mean, he could never run like Hendricks could run, but he had such a tremendous senior season to lead the team. And we don't even need to bring up Kellen Moore. But anyway, that's to me one of the biggest missing ingredients. But here comes San Diego State's defense. They don't allow points. They're number one in the Mountain West Conference. Nobody runs the ball on them. They still run this 3-3-5. They've got former Aztec defensive players on their staff that are now position coaches. They're still teaching Rocky's system. Even the analyst for the San Diego State football team is a very seasoned 30-plus year defensive line coach. The Boise State run game has been great with Helani back in charge since that Fresno game. Without Stetz at center, who knows? Let's face it. Whoever gets put back in at center, if they can bring Farrar back or Harrington, not as good. It wasn't working. And at this point in the season, that's got to be a huge concern. And I don't say these things for shock or effect. That's all BS. This is it, man. This game for both these teams is really what their Mountain West season's all about. So you are who you are at this point. And I have concerns about the Boise State offensive line without Stetz at center. You go back to issues with the snaps. You've got the best defensive line in the conference. So If Filani can get yards and the offensive line comes up with their best effort of the year plus 25%, which is entirely possible. I've seen, you've seen, we've all seen great Boise State efforts when their backs are against the wall. We've seen it this year, and it can happen again. But if Boise State gets one-dimensional, gets behind the chains on second and long, third and long, San Diego State's averaging 3 sacks a game, they'll crank it up, and they'll even get more than that. You want to watch the next NFL guy? Cameron Thomas, defensive lineman, San Diego State, NFL type guy. He's going to be on the quarterback all the time anyway. I wouldn't be surprised if they roll it away from him. The Boise State tackles have struggled with elite defensive linemen. This is the best line in the D-line. This is a major issue. UNLV hit them, though, on some deep passes, which I think is very promising. Boise State's going to have to do that as well. But the key to me will be the Boise State offense will have to come up with creative or any way to score and hold on to the football. You've got a situation where if Boise State gets behind in the game, no matter if their special team scores against them or whatever it is, and they get into we've got to throw the football because we can't run it, that's a big advantage for San Diego State. Because if you start panicking and trying to hit deeper throws and you get an interception or a couple of too many sacks and you lose your momentum, when the ball gets back to San Diego State, they're just going to run it. 12-play drive down the field. They'll take 3 or they'll take 6. Hank's going to have the most patience he's had on the entire season on this game coming up Friday morning. Boise State's defense against San Diego State's offense. It's a good thing San Diego State, you're facing the number 1 defense in the conference in points allowed, and the good thing is you got the number 2 defense on your side. Boise State's defense, I think, will do a great job against San Diego State. This San Diego State offense has scored 23 points or more only one time in the last 7 weeks. It's not explosive. That much is really still the same. You got an offensive line guy as the head coach in Hoke. It's a Rocky leftover program. It's a run-first bunch, ball control. Greg Bell is a hammering running back. They, 185 yards a game is what they average. So I do believe that Boise State, of the 2 challenges that are presented to them to win or lose this football game, which will be one on the offensive or defensive lines, I think they can win the battle with the defensive front against San Diego State's O-line. I am way more concerned with the offensive line, certainly because of Stetz and what he meant to that group. I see a low-scoring game, a field goal game. That gives me some hope with Boise State, who's very consistent there. How about this? There's not going to be much of a home crowd. First of all, we're talking about a soccer stadium about 115 miles away from San Diego State. So it's the Friday after Thanksgiving. They wouldn't go anyway. So why would they drive 115 miles? It's not like they have a great base of fans in San Pedro, Carson, California either. The kickoff is at 9 in the morning. So you got to get up early on the day after Thanksgiving for that. This is a made-for-TV event. And to me, as important as this game is, or we think it will be, because that could be spoiled on Thanksgiving Day with Fresno and San Jose State. But to have this in this situation is kind of a shame, but that's what it is. There's a lot on the line, as I mentioned. We know for Boise State, they've got to win and Air Force has to lose.